Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. I'm excited tonight. We got guests. We're going to do this thing tonight.
Yes, sir.
Don, tell them the topic. Tell them the topic. I'm getting hyped.
Tonight's topic is Love Through the Ages, a comparison of Gen X and Gen Z's perspective on dating. So this is going to be a very good topic. That is Marcus, the host, and I am the co-host, Don, aka Junior Lily. We thank you for your joining us this evening and providing us with your attention as we're going to bring you two guests from two different perspectives that will be able to share their thoughts and ideas on this topic. And one of our guests will be coming in, will be at the age of 25, while the other guests will be at the age of 50. So we're going to get those two different perspectives in modern times in the year 2024 on dating. So I'm looking forward to see what they got to say about that. What do you think, Marcus?
Man, we got a Gen X and we got a Gen Z.
Yes.
And you think about this. We got the Gen Z who might have been procreated or made when, when Afro Picks and Donna Ross was on, playing on the radio.
NWA.
They got Gen Z, playing NWA or might be perceived as something, some gangster shit,
Yeah.
I ain't gonna say what daddy might told his mama, but you know how they do back in the day. You might be made during a Freaknik time. We don't know. But
Kappa Beach. Yeah.
But what we're trying to get to is we just want to see how the progression of the Gen Z and the Gen X, because we always talk about the differences.
Yeah.
And date a friend of real.
Mm-hmm.
We always want to speak of always want to speak about the positive.
Yes.
So, but we always look at one generation and kind of snub our nose, and but we also want to know like how they doing it. You want to see differences, and what's the best time? We got one who's an artist, a DAR member. He's always in the comments, always speaking the positive.
Yes.
And we got the 25, the Gen Z, who is, one of the young men I'm proud to call a friend because at his age he got his shit together.
Yes.
And so I figured that he's probably the best person to represent that culture.
Agreed. And before we bring them on, and then we're going to get into the definition of the Gen Z and Gen X's, I want to read a bit of just a little uplifting poetry quote that will get this topic started off. And this is coming straight from the book Afterthoughts of Epiphany, Reflection of Words of Wisdom. Again, this is Junior Lily at his best. Anyone and anything. Anyone can be anything if they just put their minds to it. However, anything does not mean a damn thing if anyone does not put their heart into it. So you just think about that as we marinate on these topics for tonight and going forward. And with that being said, Marcus, let's go ahead and bring in the guests, so we can go ahead and get discussion on these definitions between Gen Z and Gen X.
First of all, let's bring the Gen X in. This is Floyd. Hey, Floyd, what's going on?
What's up, my people? Peace and blessings, welcome, everybody. What's up, sir?
Thanks for being here this evening. Go ahead and introduce yourself, sir.
Okay, well, thank you, sir. First of all, it's a pleasure meeting you down, man. Live and direct. And what's up, my man, Marcus?
Yeah.
So my name is Floyd Boykin Jr. I'm a host of a lot of things. I do a lot of art. I'm an artist, from poetry to playing music to culinary arts. To the violin and some other stuff I'm sure I'm missing out. I'm missing as well. But and I also run a podcast as well, called the Exchange Podcast, and we talk about healthy relationships and things like that.
Nice.
And this is why he's a great representative of Gen Z. Excuse me, of Gen X.
Yes.
He's an all-around man, the classic man, the man's man. So matter of fact, what is it? Let's read the definition of a Gen X person. Let me bring it on.
Gen X, Floyd, we're going to get your opinion, ask you for your opinion on this, but looking through some Wikipedia and some Oxford Dictionary, is describing Generation X as a group of those who were born or grew up during a time of significant social, economical, and technology change. How do you feel about that, sir?
I mean, I feel like that's pretty accurate. I mean, our generation was getting into where technology was starting to pop, in my opinion, where the
Yeah.
video games would start kicking and the graphics and
Yeah.
music, what we listen to, music start changing.
Yes.
Just the way we start seeing lives, we start being real creative on a lot of things, such as just music itself. Hip hop, the birth of hip hop start kicking off. Things like that. So
Yes.
I would say that's pretty accurate, in my opinion.
Okay.
And speaking of
Okay.
hip hop, I mean, you think about it, when the birth of hip hop and the evolution of hip hop in our generation.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm just thinking about it, and how the birth of hip hop and it changed as into the '90s when the Gen Z started coming about until now. Wow, I just thought about that. That's amazing how that genre itself that was started pretty much when we came up has evolved into 2024.
Yeah.
Very much so.
True. So true. So we got to bring in the other guest and let's get his ideas, concepts on this topic tonight. So without further ado, let's bring in Dallas. How you doing, sir?
What's up, everybody? How you doing?
Hey, peace, brother.
Nice to meet you, sir. Welcome to the podcast. So Dallas, go ahead and give everyone a little brief description of yourself.
So I'm actually 26. I'm a new 26, but I am 26. Yeah, my name is Dallas. I kick it with Marcus pretty often, and I do a little bit of social media work, corporate strategy, marketing strategy, and I just moved from Dallas to DC, so I'm just kicking it out here and
It's nice.
doing the thing.
He has
Yeah.
a great name, Dallas, representing the Lone Star City itself. So, Dallas, we are discussing some definitions between Gen Z and Gen X. And we've already discussed Gen X with Floyd. So, I'm going to read to you the definition of Gen Z that I found on Oxford Dictionaries. And I want to see if you agree with this. It is saying Generation Z is a group of people who were born and regarded as being very familiar with the internet. How do you feel about that concept?
I definitely think it's true, but I think there's a lot of things that get looked over. For example, younger or older Gen Z, such as myself, our childhood, we pretty much didn't really have the internet technology. I mean, we had a little bit, we had dial up and all that stuff, obviously. But we
Wait,
went,
you say older Gen Z?
yeah, like
Describe what do you mean by older Gen Z? I'm trying to
For
understand.
real.
not
Yeah.
older Gen Z, like if you were born before 2000, like
Okay.
1978.
Okay.
I don't really count 99, but maybe 99. So like we grew up still with, we weren't really on the internet like that.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
kind of were around to see, like the first smartphones and all that stuff. But then
Okay.
younger Gen Z, a lot of them grew up and they already had, iPads, iPhones and stuff like that. And so I think
Yes.
there's still a big difference between those of us who didn't grow up, on some of this technology versus
Mm-hmm.
those who came, a few years later and did grow up pretty heavily influenced. So that's the only thing that I would say. But
I
yeah,
got you. Thanks for
Yeah.
clearing that up because you probably had a couple of the people out there listening confused about older Gen Z's. Like, okay,
Exactly.
yeah.
You can think about it. This is what we're here for. We're here for
Mm-hmm.
clarification. Because we think of Gen Z, we think of like, you ain't never heard of net zero. Hell, yo,
So I get
you was never on Black Planet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
true. I guess a rotary phone and a typewriter jack y'all up, huh?
I know I use rotary, man. I know I use rotary.
Blackberries. That's just a comparison there when you was talking about the introduction to the smartphone. Because I remember the Blackberries was like the introduction to the smartphone era, with people being busy savvy and with the two-way pagers and all of that. So yes, I feel you on that, Dallas.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what I like about Dallas. Dallas is since he's a fresh 26, but he's a very mature. He's a very mature fresh 26,
Hmm.
and there's very few people of that older Gen Z that we would tend to respect and listen to. And this is why we bring him along. He's going to speak well mannered and well educated, and he's going to help us bridge this gap.
Yeah.
especially in this dating world. And one of the things we want to address is that Dallas and Floyd, both of you are single. You know, I won't say you're out there on a hunt, but you're out there mingling.
They ain't got
And
the bat and walking around like a caveman, popping them over the head and dragging them back to the lab. They ain't doing none of that, man.
right, so and so we go. We have so many things that we want to ask you, and things that people want to ask you, and we trying to narrow it down into a small hour window. But guys, I think it's going to be a two-parter. So don't be surprised. Remember, honesty and freedom. I like this is the real. They affirm the real. And so, Don, what's the first question you want to ask? Because you're gonna pop off
Yeah.
intelligently.
Let's get into the show topic. Love through the ages, a comparison of Gen X and Gen Z perspective on dating. And some of the questions, well, one of the questions that I wanted to ask was to both of the fellows, what are your thoughts on modern dating apps and online platforms in the year 2024?
Go
Well,
ahead, Floyd.
so my initial thought, I used to be really cool with the whole concept of online dating um, before it became very popular. Now I think it's overly saturated, and so now it's like it can be beneficial, but
Mm-hmm.
if you're on there actively, you're getting bombarded by multiple people on a regular, trying to keep up with this person and that person. So I feel like it can be very exhausting, but I do feel like you can find someone solid to actually develop a relationship with.
Thank you, sir. Question for Floyd. You indicated the online dating apps. What was your first dating app that you signed up for or were aware of when it came to, oh, this is maybe a new way to meet people?
eHarmony. eHarmony was
eHarmony.
my very first. Actually, I was married for 14 and a half years, and
Okay.
before I got married, I signed up on eHarmony. And
Wow.
eHarmony, I liked it because you had to they ask all these questions, like 500 questions, and they only send you like certain people.
Yeah.
And what was funny is that the person that connected me with, I had already been on a date with.
Wow.
So out of all
This is
that
amazing.
survey stuff, and they
Yeah.
connected me with somebody I already had been out with.
Yeah.
And so after that, I ended up meeting the person I ended up marrying. So I was
Mm.
off of the dating scene, for a
Gotcha.
while, of course. So
Gotcha.
now, moving forward to 2022, 23, 24, oh my God,
Yeah.
it's different. I didn't get back on eHarmony, though.
Yeah. Dallas, what is your take on the topic of modern dating apps and online platforms?
I feel like the way that I would describe them, it's like dumpster diving. And, obviously you dumpster diving because every now and then you're going to find something good every now and then, but you still
Yeah.
do a lot of trash in hopes that you're going to get to, something good. So I feel like sometimes I get it be stinking too bad and I just got to come up out the dumpster for a little bit before I jump back in there.
Man.
And I think what's interesting about what Floyd was talking about is that, they used to ask you all these questions and really try to match you up with people who were, in line with that. Whereas now there's pretty much no matching based off of any of those things anymore. Even
Yeah.
the questions you fill out for your profile aren't used to find for the app itself to find other people. It's just so as
Mm.
people are kind of swiping by you, they might read it, and a lot of times they don't. So I think that kind of contributes to why it kind of feels like a dumpster because it's
Yeah.
all very superficial and kind of a little bit absent-minded sometimes.
Yeah. And I feel you on that dumpster diving. I myself was once single and was on these dating apps, and I would say I was got so tired of just ads, fake people, fictitious profiles that just
Mhm.
like, okay, I'm just gonna turn this thing off and just go down to the local bar and try it the old way. It's sometimes just going through the rigmarole of swiping left and right in hopes of trying to find a potential match. You can get overwhelmed. It's just like, just just go back to the old way. That's where I felt at times. And I'm just gonna, hang out on the street corner and see what goes through. And like we did in the '90s, the Gen X's, how we used to do. Was post up with our 40 ounces and see who popped by and
Yeah.
say, come here, let's
Your
show
parking
it.
lot pimp is not dead. Your parking lot pimp is not dead. That's one. All right. Two. So I want to, as for not a former online dater. Hey, baby, I said former. It tended to me. It was tend to be like a the swiping tend to be like a game. You just bored. You just start swiping until you run out. Like
Yeah,
Dallas said, you're reading. Who reads that shit? Or you want
yeah,
to read? You skim. It's like oh, 5 kids swipe the other way.
yeah.
Or she. Yeah. But now Dallas, let me ask you this: for your older Gen Z people, is it online dating the preferred method, or is something else you do for looking?
I don't think anybody that I know wants to be using online dating. It's just, but I think that people feel like they have to use it because I don't think we have the same communities that prior generations grew up with. And so we don't, it's harder to even just meet people who are remotely compatible with us unless it is on something like a dating app. I think it's kind of the consensus, whether that be true or not. That's how people feel about it.
Now, Dallas, you just made a good point. Also, want to read a comment that was brought in online because the comment stated here seems like guys are not serious about dating when meeting online. When you just said that online is used as a way to make sure people or try to make people compatible in a way, so it seems like we have two different sides or different points of view on the topic. I can't say which one is more relatable, but I do agree with the fact that at one point in time, I used online dating as a way to meet people, not necessarily to get serious. And then at the same time, the online dating app was a way for you to find out compatibility when you are serious about getting with someone and you don't want to have to go down to the local grocery store and stand in the fruit aisle all day. So it's two different ways of looking at it, but yet one can always work in a situation while the other can be worked in a different way. So what do you think about that, Marcus?
So Don, you was at the grocery store looking at melons, huh?
Man, what are you talking about? That was the best
All
way
right.
to get women back in the day.
Yeah. I think about the online dating is like just like any kind of social media. What it's intended for and what it's actually used
Yeah,
for is not always the same.
true, true.
So, with
I like to comment on the comment that was posted up there about the
Yes.
guys not being serious,
Okay.
and I would have to agree with her actually, based off of my experience on dating apps and the people I have met and what they tell me the kind of guys that they've come across. And
Mhm.
most of those guys, I mean, you got guys with their shirts off, guys holding money, guys doing all this crazy stuff that has nothing to do about, you trying to be serious about dating someone.
Yeah,
And so
yeah,
the people who have commented on my page, the reason why they commented because my page was different. I
yeah.
actually had information about who I am, my interests. I put on there about me not wanting to date a smoker and that I only smoke. Only thing that I smoke is turkey and chicken. You know what I'm saying? Salmon, turkey, and chicken. So and so I would get comments coming in from that. Because I appeared to them to be different from the other guys they were encountering. Because
Yeah.
there's a lot of guys out there on these sites that's looking for hookups. They're looking for
Yeah,
something quick. They're not really
yeah.
being serious. That's not all of the guys on there, but
True,
it's a
true.
large number.
yeah,
I
and
agree
we
with Floyd. Go ahead, Marcus.
yeah, and we if you remember, Don, we kind of touched on that on our previous live session about social media.
Hmm.
We kind of touched on that, and
Yes,
and I'm
yes, we did.
yeah,
But you got to do it for the gram, man. You got to
yeah,
you got to
and
flex for the
which
gram.
could bring me to a point, Dallas.
Yeah.
I think remember a couple of months ago we was at the Cigars and Conversations, and you said the word pick me's.
Yeah, yeah.
And for a lot of the older generation, we didn't know what the hell a pick me was.
Yeah.
And what Floyd was saying, he just sounded like he was just saying the male version of a pick me. Hey, can you explain to what a pick me is?
I don't know how I explained it back then, but a pick me is basically you are overly relying on certain characteristics to appear to be a better option. So the male version is like showing all the money, like, oh, I'm cool, I'm rich. This is why, you should swipe on me. Whereas women will, you know, not saying that you always are dressing provocatively for that reason, but if every single one of your pictures looks like that, you know, that is usually pick me behavior. And so I think it's interesting because I would agree that it is the male equivalent. Um, and I have a separate comment on the original comment, but I'll leave it.
Yes. Go ahead, man. You
Go
got it.
ahead, man.
You got it,
It's a
Dallas.
free
You got
form.
it.
Go.
You got to put it out there, man. I see
I
what's on your mind.
like, and y'all feel free to disagree, but I feel like most men are not just walking around as like serious daters. Like when they're interacting with a woman, like the default is not I'm being serious. And so what I think happens more often than not is when you meet the woman, which tends to happen in real life or some situation like that, when you meet, that's when there's like like there's a connection or something like that that then makes you want to be serious. But I think when you're on an app, there's nothing that I can get as a man. There's nothing that I can get from your profile that's gonna make me be like, oh yeah, out of all these hundreds of other profiles, you the one I'm gonna really take. So I feel like that is why there's like this disconnect on the dating apps because women are a lot more open to, okay, out of all this trash, I think you might be a good. Men are just not gonna operate like that. It's like,
Dallas is on something. He is hitting on all cylinders right now.
Yeah.
I can't disagree because if a man is on a dating app and if a man is serious, those are two different perspectives. If I'm on a dating app, I'm just out there winging it, seeing what happens, right? Because we men are visual, so we're looking for the prettiest smile, the cutest face, the nicest body, the biggest ass, whatever you want to call it, the nicest feet. That's what we're looking for, and that probably 90% of the time determines how we swipe right or left, whichever way it be. It's so long I don't remember. But anyway, and then if we're serious, then we start looking into what they may have on their page, such as where they're putting for their personality traits. Like Floyd said, he's looking for a non-smoker. They may have a dog, and if you're into animals, you may want a pet. So you still looking to that deeper subconscious into what they are saying and just looking at a picture, because you put a picture up, well, I don't like that picture. Even though they may have a great profile and bio, if the picture's not banging, you say, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and swipe left on that. I ain't trying to hear that. But then it just depends on the mindset at the time that we are basically on these apps. It's not a set in stone method of for 6 months out of the year I'm serious, and 6 months out of the year I'm not serious. It's just wake up one day, oh, let me go swipe left or right and see what's going on.
Yeah.
What you think about that, Marcus?
So you're absolutely right. Men are very visual. Also, most men are not very articulate.
Oh, that's not
So
true.
hold on, Floyd. A lot of us men are not articulate because, and I'm gonna say you why. Because when you start putting up your profile, when you did all this in your profile, what did they say? Most men don't do that.
Well, they were talking about they didn't say anything about the articulation, but I'm sure that probably played a part. But they didn't say nothing about that. They were more so just because of the way they were presenting themselves. They a lot of times, if you see somebody with a shirt off or money, they're not going to read nothing, so they're not going to know if they're articulate or not because you already turned
Yeah.
them off.
Yeah,
You know,
and I guarantee the ones you with those shirts off there, they ain't much in their profile because a lot of guys we don't have attention span to put the right stuff in the profile.
Yeah.
We we're single. Then we put a couple of lies and
He said a
hoping we
couple
meet.
lines.
You know,
You fix it
I mean,
out on the back end.
I'm an advocate for a man. and I know what we do. This is we're just being 100. You know,
Yeah.
See, I
how
have
many men
to
are married on a dating app?
Um,
see. I have to come from a different angle as
I'm
a
listening to
single
you.
man, and this is not disagreeing with what you said because I believe that what you said is true, but not for all of them because like when I'm on there, I'm actually reading profiles, and just like when if I meet you out in public face to face, I'm not going to intentionally go try to find someone I don't find attractive. I'm not gonna do that. Somebody that's I'm gonna be attracted to someone, and hey, that's gonna lead me over to you. Now, what's gonna turn me away is what comes out your mouth. If the wrong thing come out your mouth, nice
Yeah.
meeting you, I'm out.
Yeah.
So the same way on the
Mm-hmm.
app, if I'm swiping on these apps and a picture show up, that first picture, I'm like, oh, she's attractive. I'm scrolling and I'm reading. I'm also looking at other pictures. If there's only one picture and that one look filtered, I'm out. You
I
know,
think I think Floyd brings up a good point, which is a segue to my second question. And my second question to each gentleman is, what is the first thing that attracts you when in pursuit of a potential partner? Now, this doesn't pertain to online dating apps, or it just pertains to the question in general. If you're out in public, you can be anywhere. What is the first thing that attracts you when you're in pursuit of a potential partner?
I mean, honestly, for me, appearance is the first thing that's going to draw me to her.
Yes.
But what keeps me in is when she start talking, her spirit, what's coming out of her mouth, what her articulation,
Mhm.
her energy, all of that would make me decide whether or not if I want to pursue this particular person. You know, but like I said, I have to be attracted to that individual. And that doesn't mean when I say attracted, that doesn't mean she's like, movie star fine or nothing like that. It just means that it was something about that person that made me go, and so I approach the person. We start talking.
Yes.
And if the conversation is cool, then that's the green light,
Yeah.
for me. Because that's gonna mean the most to me. If we can't converse, if we can't have a great conversation, it really doesn't matter what you look like,
Yeah.
because I'm gonna be out.
Yeah.
Because I gotta be able to talk with you and have fun and be myself as you're being yourself.
I
You
feel you
know,
on that, sir.
yeah, I agree with you a lot. At Floyd, you a physical good is the initial eye catcher, but what you say don't is not equal to your appearance. Your appearance gets downgraded quickly. Like you can be the sexiest woman and on this side of Mississippi, but if you talk like me and mumble and stutter and shit, we ain't gonna work, baby. Now you look like the ugliest thing on the side of Mississippi. I just
Well, that's what I used to say. I used to say when if I met someone and they were attractive, and the more they start talking, if it wasn't something that I liked, the more that woman start looking like a man to me.
Wow. Dallas, how you feel about that, man? How do you feel about that, Dallas?
oh,
Give us some of
come
your
on, Dallas,
thoughts,
bring us
sir.
home.
I mean, I feel like, of course, it's what they look like. I think maybe what I was thinking about is that there's a difference between what catches my attention versus what will make me actually approach a woman. I think that's a little bit different because, of course, any woman that I think is fine gonna catch my attention. But I think that that's a little bit different from like, okay, I'm attracted to her and I'm gonna go and at least start that conversation.
Yeah.
And I don't really know what my answer for that would be. Um, but I think it's probably small stuff like open body language. Like, is she looking like she's having a good time, or is she looking like she grouchy and standoffish and weird?
Mhm.
Uh, so that would be my answer.
Okay. Okay.
You
So
know,
Shorty standing up there looking a little feisty, you wouldn't approach him and say, damn, what's on your mind?
Uh,
so now we're gonna bring it back to an alternate reality.
Okay.
There's a because we know there's guys out there that'll be the first one they want to talk to. Who love the crazy? Who love the toxic? They get off on that.
Yeah,
You,
unfortunately.
fine.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. We all, and I think all four of us seen him like, dude, are you really talking to her? Like,
yeah.
yeah, I like a little edge on him.
Man, that's that Gen X music. Back in the day, they had songs about that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Shawty want to ride, OPP, Gangsta Chick,
yeah.
just all
But
different
now,
types of music like that, and we just kind of roll with the vibe back in the day. But as we talked about earlier with Floyd, as the music has elevated and culturally has changed from Gen X to a Gen Z style, I don't see any difference in the content, but the sometimes the approach has changed. The artists themselves may put on a different swag, but think about it, it was cussing then, it's cussing now. The concept hasn't changed in that aspect.
I got a question just popped in my head. So how can I phrase it? So, comparatively speaking, between you, Dallas and Floyd, we both of you guys mentioned how they look. The attraction. How much of a chance would you be giving them? Give us how much of an opportunity would you give them a second chance based on your looks alone? Because if they find it's sexy and what come out their mouth isn't, would you be willing to give them additional opportunity to and say, okay, maybe it ain't that bad because she do look kind of good. Let me try to talk to her one more time.
Dallas, you want to go or you want me to go?
You go ahead.
All right. So in my 20s, I would have gave him a second chance. No problem at all. I'd be like, okay, let's try this again. At 52, I'm out. There's not a second chance, and it's not going to happen because I'm on the other side of 50 and got more days behind me than I do it before me, in front of me. So when I meet someone, if my tolerance level has decreased so much that if they say the wrong stuff, I ain't got time to be wasting with that. And it doesn't matter how fine they are. I don't care how fine they are. If you're saying the wrong stuff, I'm out.
Man, my man Floyd, I think he's read some of these questions because that was
Yeah.
my next question. Segue is what are some of the non-negotiables we're looking for a partner? And then Floyd hit it right on the head. As you get older, you have less tolerance for BS, so got to things got to almost align like the sun and the stars. Just to make sure that that person will be the one for you. How do you feel about that, Dallas?
If it's about the question on how many times you're gonna give them, it's one. I mean, I feel like to give two tries, it's like you ain't never seen nobody who looked good before. So I feel like that's a little lame. But if it's
Yeah.
on your second question about non-negotiables in general in dating, or like
Well, if you're looking for a partner, I mean, we speaking on the topic of perspectives on dating. I mean, yeah, so you can kind of tie them all together if you can.
I think that the big thing for me is that it has to be uh equally equal interest, equal. It just has to be an equal dynamic. So, like it's not a dynamic where I like the girl more than she like me, or I'm doing more for her more than she's doing for me. And I
Mm.
think a lot of those you find out kind of early in dating. Like, okay, if I ask her to do this, or what if she asks me to do, or whatever. And I think that's the big non-negotiable for me. Like out of everything else, it's like if we can't even have like be on the same page, that's pretty much it for me.
Oh,
So let
thank you,
me ask you this,
sir.
Dallas: would that be just you, or would that be your peers as well? Thinking what that line of thinking, because to me that sounds very mature, and I want to know if that's the way that generation is doing it now, or is that just you as being a mature person?
I think that's how I do it, but I would say Gen Z as a whole is very has like no has no approach to dating. Like I don't think anybody know, like I think we're in this period of like, okay, we saw older generations do some things that we don't agree with, but so some of us have gone way to the opposite of that. And then others are like, well, I didn't like that, but I also don't want to do this totally opposite thing. So I don't really know what to do at all. And there's just a lot of buddy in Gen Z, how they're dealing with relationships. You're almost always going to get a different answer because people are just so all over the place
Yeah.
that like there's nothing consistent about it at all. And I think that's frustrating for people because then anytime you do talk to somebody or you meet someone, you two could have totally different ideas of
Yeah.
things that probably were previously probably seen as very basic or very
Mhm.
usually understood.
Yeah. We have a question here in the group. It is stating any advice for a woman who wants to meet a man who is serious about dating. Floyd, do you have any advice to share with the question from the audience?
Well, in terms of meeting them, that's kind of hard because if of course, if you're on an app, you swipe and meet, and you're checking people out. But going out and meeting people today is a lot different from what it used to be. But if you meet that person, I think a lot of communication, a lot of direct questioning. Not interrogation. There's a difference.
Yeah.
Say it
Asking
again.
direct questions, not interrogation, and just find out if they're on the same page. Find out what they really want. If he's serious about it and he's truthful, hopefully you can tell by the body language and what he's actually saying that he's serious about dating, and you have to try to find out if you are aligned in some kind of capacity, but let it flow too. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to
Yeah.
be you don't want to make it so drill sergeant like that it's not an enjoyable meeting of the
Yeah.
minds there. You know what I'm saying? So I would say definitely just if
Mhm.
once you meet the person, um direct question, open and honest dialogue.
True. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Well said. Marcus, are you going to ask some of your questions here? Because I don't think I have a question, but I'm going to save it for
Well,
later.
let's
I'm
let's
sure.
give Dallas a chance answer this question. You
Mhm.
know, I'm interested in his perspective.
I feel like I'm a little bit too young to be helpful, but I think what I've recognized in my own dating experiences is that the women who have standards for me are the women who receive the treatment that they want versus or tend to have more serious interest versus the women who don't. And I think that um, that also comes from where you're meeting them in. So it's like if you are hanging around at like a dirty dive bar and like that's what you do and you're waiting for a serious man to walk through, know that
Yeah,
that's
that ain't happening.
the best
No.
environment to be meeting people versus if you pick up a hobby that just men obviously happen to be at, you're more likely to find men who are willing to be serious just because of the different environments. So I think
Yeah.
that sometimes it's the context as well. If you're at the club, everybody knows you're not going to probably get married at the club, because it's not that type of environment. So it's more getting involved in just your interest, knowing that men are going to be there, whatever, and then kind of using that as your building blocks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good comment, sir. There's several more questions in the chat. One of them here
yeah.
says, curious about who of the four of us could say that they've actually been in love.
What was that question?
It,
Here you go.
the on screen. I'm curious about who of the four of you could actually say that you actually been in love.
I can say that twice.
Yeah, my man. What about you,
Yeah.
Dallas? Is that something you've experienced, sir?
Sure.
He said, "Sure." That's my answer. He took it. Marcus. Yeah, he said,
So
"Sure." He called it as it is.
I'm a defend Dallas.
Yeah.
Sometimes you think you're in love, but you don't know if it's actually love.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
through
I thought
experiences and things of that nature, you really find out what love is and what mutual love is. You
Well said,
know,
my brother. Well
yeah.
said.
When he got this, he still got good years ahead of him. He's learning what the true meaning of love could actually mean for him and the benefit he can give to somebody else.
Yes. There is a comment from Kia in the chat stating,
Hold on before you get there.
Okay, 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 okay.
Yes, baby, I've been in love. I'm in love now. Yeah, hallelujah. I got the best woman in the world. Yes, Lord. Yes, Lord. All right, cool. I'm good.
The comment was, I had to learn to pay attention to actions versus words. And that is definitely points of topic we've all discussed, as my man Floyd and Dallas pointed out too. Um, just looking at somebody's words, and you got to also follow their actions, their demeanor to determine what their outlay may be. Because someone can say, "I want to be in love," but they're looking at everybody that passed by. You know that they're looking for someone else beyond what's in front. So you definitely got to pay attention to those. We have another comment here.
Yeah.
Floyd,
That's actually for me.
yes, sir. Floyd, I'm gonna read Floyd's comment. He
Yeah,
says, "My
yeah.
experience, I meet a lot of women searching for flaws instead of acknowledging the good character traits." Wow, man, that's speak on that, sir. Since you're here live, let's hear your
Yeah.
topic on
Elaborate.
that.
So the key word that's not there is trauma. And so what happens is that when people are so used to meeting Mr. Wrong, when they meet someone, and if they seem like they're pretty decent, the women that I've met, a lot of them anyway, they are looking for something that's wrong with you. And I don't know if that's a self-sabotaging thing or what, but a lot of, like, for instance, I met someone once and we were talking, and she gave me all these great compliments right at one point, and then I think I said something where I was playing with her, right, and she said something she wasn't going to do, and I said, all right, I see you, I remember that, I was playing with it, and that rubbed her the wrong way. So all these major character traits that she told me about how good of a man I am, a creative, all this stuff, she
Yeah.
was turned off by that playfulness because she thought that I was trying to build up things to hold against her later.
Yeah.
And
So
I said, I don't even remember what those were even connected to. I was just playing,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
but she was looking for a flaw, you know? And so a lot of times people meet that, and to me that's very irritating, especially if you're actively dating and you think that you're in a good place, and they
Mhm.
find one thing that's not rubbing you well. And this ain't the
Yeah.
first conversation; these are multiple conversations,
Yeah.
and you find that, and now you're done with it, and you're turned off.
yeah. So
Good
Floyd,
point.
I agree with you on a lot of times because I ran into that multiple times myself, and it can become a turnoff. You know, one of the first ones I would always get was, "You ain't got no kids? What's wrong with you?"
Mm,
Because I'm 30, I've got no 30 something or whatever, I got no kids. Hell, y'all be thankful because I ain't procreate with the wrong one.
right.
Yeah.
We have, and you have to fix yourself and get yourself ready for somebody good to come in.
Yeah.
And the second point I want to add to that is every other Tuesday night, the therapist and the poet session where we address things like that. So tune in Instagram and YouTube and Facebook. I'm just
Yeah.
doing a shout out for my babe.
It's
I think
beautiful. Y'all got to
Marcus,
check it out.
you led to another question that you're talking about here, and the question is for the group or for the two gentlemen that has joined us: is how do you prioritize self care and maintaining your own identity while dating?
That's
Ooh.
easy because this may sound selfish when I say this, but who cares? Um, it I gotta be happy, you know.
Yeah.
So if I don't deal with my self care and loving who I am and doing the things that I love, if I abandon those things to
Yeah.
be in this relationship or to cater to this particular person, then at some point resentment is going to pop up in there.
True.
So self care is very, very important. Now, also in saying that though, time management and making sure that if you're connecting with someone, you got to make sure that they feel as important as some of the self care things that you're doing. They got to feel like that you are interested. You can't just be like, hey, well, I'm playing a violin right now. I can't talk to you. Oh yeah, I know
Yeah.
we were supposed to go out, but I'm doing this and that. You still got to put forth effort, but you
Hmm.
got to let them also know that your mental health, your emotional health, your spiritual health, your physical health, top priorities for you. For me, that's top
Yeah.
priority, and you can't understand that. I'm out.
How do you feel
That's
about
my
that?
saying today. I'm a shirt, and I'm
How
out.
do you
I'm gonna
feel
get my
about that,
shirt.
Dallas, in regards to that question?
I think for me, I bring them in more than the other way around. Like I'm the influence. So like I'm very much like I think like I was having a conversation with a young lady and I don't even remember the context, but I was just like I said like, "Oh, I don't flirt" or something like that. And she was like, "Yeah, you don't. I wish you did, but I know you won't do it or whatever." And like we already kind of have that dynamic where she is like I know that you're not going to do certain things, like that just is what it is. And so I think that
Mm-hmm.
because early on I started out very like unapologetically like in my identity,
Hmm.
it's like she just kind of respects that, and then there's not really that. There's no effort to kind of change those things, and so it makes it pretty easy. And then if it's self care, if it's like, oh, I want to smoke a cigar, she'll come with me or something like that or whatever. If it really comes down to that, and like that's cool with me. But it's more like I'm gonna do this, and you can come along, you cannot, but this is what I'm gonna do. And so I feel like that's
Yeah.
kind of my approach.
Good. Good comments. Appreciate that.
Yeah, that was a good comments. And the reason that the question was good itself because a lot of guys and women tend to lose themselves in trying to make a relationship work or try to be perfect. Just like Dallas just said, he's the influencer, so the risk is that she may lose some of herself trying to be with Dallas, and I and that could be problem to me. That could be a little bit problematic because I'm glad you are aware of that, Dallas, because I think in the future you may have to say, hey, don't you have to let her know, don't lose yourself, don't always try to be around me, don't always try to be like me, to impress me, be yourself and do the things that make you happy because I'm going to do the things that make me happy, obviously.
Yeah.
And the same thing for you ladies, for your man who's trying to do 110% for you. Sometimes you got to press the brake for him. Like, yo, go hang out, go be with your friends, go smoke your cigars. I'm good. Remember who you was before me that made you who you are for me.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So that's one of the things that I think all generations have to make sure we do is be mindful of each other's individuality as we come as a union.
Well, there have to be a balance, and a lot of times I use this scenario when I'm talking to people, and when we mention self care, boundaries, things like that. And I use my father and my bonus mom. They live in a townhouse that's it's three floors, right? And so she's from Thailand, right? So at the top floor is little Thailand for her, like her room. She has a room where she go in, and everything is about in Thai from TV shows, music, all that. When she want to spend time for herself, that's where she goes. When my father will go in the basement and he'll work on music or do graphic work or do stuff like that. But then they'll come together on the middle floor and they'll watch TV together. They're cooking together. They're doing, you know what I'm saying? So you learn that as you get older and everything. But when I see that, that's the kind of love I want to experience where we
Hmm.
can have our thing together, but we still can have our individuality because that's very important. Because if you lose that individuality, I just believe resentment is going to come up at some point, or you're going to lose yourself.
Yeah. I bet
So
that's some
true.
good eating
So
at the
true.
house. That's some good ass eating in that house. Thai
Very,
food. Oh Lord, good Lord, that's some good food at that house.
very much so. Very much so.
Yes.
You know. So good deal. Let me make sure we making this nobody in the comments. Good. Now, we've been on here a while. I ain't really know it's time going fast, but it's something I want to ask you guys personally. When you're dating, especially when you're dating in the initial steps of pursuing a lady, what are your sexual expectations? Is it like, hey, you need to put out real quick, or you gonna be gone real fast, or no? I respect. I mean, maybe we need to wait. Let's get to know each other a little more, or you just like, hey, it feels right. You want to do it, you know? How do you? What are your expectations sexually when dating?
Dallas, I'm gonna let Dallas go for me on that
Put him on spot.
one.
I think where I'm at right now is it needs to be a conversation from jump. Not saying we need to be
Mhm.
doing nothing, but like not a conversation. A conversation isn't the right word, but like the energy needs to be there pretty early on. Like we might not be, but I can tell that you want to. Because otherwise, like if we on the third date and I can't tell that you are sexually attracted to me, that's a no for me personally. Because again, I'm not saying that we are actually having sex at that point, but it's like I want to be with somebody who's particularly sexually attracted to me. So I'm not gonna spend time with somebody who is kind of like he's cool. I don't want to.
She want to jump my bones.
Yeah, that's what I want. That's what I want. That that's where I'm at this time. That's what I want.
Okay. I like that.
Well, if we at my age, if they're on that third date with you, more than likely they're sexually attracted to you. So they're not
Speaking
gonna
of the floor.
they're gonna be done with you. You're not gonna make it to the third date. You know if they're not feeling you, it's not gonna happen. And at my age bracket, women are a lot more verbal, at least from my understanding, more verbal about what they want sexually and and spiritually and everything. And when you hit 50, they don't give a damn. They gonna tell you what they feel. So for me going into sexual expectations, um, I prefer that to move a little slower than
Okay.
fast now. Because the reason why I say that is that in times where I've had things that moved quickly, um, it didn't give me an opportunity to really know the person really. We went off of chemistry and not compatibility. And then so when that kicked in, the sex was off the chain, but then you realize you really don't have nothing in common because y'all went there too quickly. So if I'm being serious, I would prefer to let be slow motion. That doesn't mean there's no flirting. That doesn't mean that, you're not having, great conversations that could be energized, but I would prefer to wait. Now, waiting don't mean a year from now, but I'm not trying to jump in immediately as soon
Yeah.
as the opportunity going either. I would prefer to wait at this point.
Quick question. Quick follow up to Floyd's comment there. I respect your comment. That's great. But I wrote a note here. Do you think, you said women are more prone to make these decisions? Do you think it's because of their age or is related to the times where everything is sexualized and gratified on TV and through the movies? How would you compare that?
Shoot, it might be all of that. Honestly, because like I said, in my experience, some women just the older women get, the more verbal and expressive they are about what they want. If they want sex, you gonna know. You ain't got to guess that. Where when in my 20s, I'm going for it, and they
Yeah.
playing hard to
Yeah.
get, and you're not, you don't know what she wants. You try to kiss her, she bump, but bounce off of you because she's playing hard to get. They don't do that at 50.
I got you. I got
You
you.
kiss them. If that kiss is on point, you need to be, ready.
A couple of drinks in there, and then it's all over. Someone says in the comments, Floyd is waiting. What about Dallas? Dallas, Dallas, you going for the kill?
I think first date is crazy. I think it depends on the context because you might have been like talk between dates. Like y'all might be talking a lot between dates. Y'all might not be talking at all. But it's like if we've been talking for a minute, I'll give it like
That's a long pause.
Yeah.
We got
I ain't passing the opportunities we saying.
honestly a month, probably a month.
a month.
1 month.
Okay. All right.
You know,
Uh,
that's actually pretty good because in that month time frame, you could, if you had, did lose too soon, there's a lot of times you're gonna say, I regret I shouldn't have did this. Not like, yeah, we had sex, but I don't want to be with you, and you can get trapped into a place where it's like it's hard to break away from, or let alone if the sexual chemistry was strong and was like Floyd said, it was nothing else. Guess what? You're blocking somebody else from coming into your life who's actually mentally and spiritually compatible with you because you're dealing with just a sexual person over here, and you're not leaving room for anybody else to come in your life who deserves your full attention.
Waiting to go there, even if you want to go there. Which honestly, if you're waiting, you want to go there, but you're waiting. It's a conscious effort, and I think when you allow yourself that time to not focus on that sexual energy, you get an opportunity to actually get to know that person and talk to them and see if you actually do like, the mind. If you actually like her heart, is she actually compassionate? Is she consistent? You're finding out all that stuff. Like I was dating someone. This is years ago when I was 28 and I was dating this woman that I almost married. But in the first three, when she first met me, she was all like, when we can get to know each other, she said she didn't want us to have any kind of intimacy in terms of holding hands or kissing or anything like that. She said when she kissed me, then it's on once she does that. So I was like, okay. So we spent a lot of time talking, getting to know each other, and actually realizing that we liked each other. So the focus wasn't on the sexual thing at all. It came up, of course, you think about it, but it gave me an opportunity to learn that person. And I appreciate that concept so much more than the quick, fast paced moving. Because, I've done that too. And that's why I have that opinion where, met somebody, chemistry was great, you're all over the place. And now, 2 weeks later, y'all fussing and arguing. You don't even like this person. And, it's like, y'all don't
yeah.
have nothing in mind. She don't like
Yeah.
you, you don't like her.
Yeah,
We have
you
go
really
ahead.
learn to temper the urges,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yep.
that's what it basically is. Like, all right, let me suppress this primal urge to hunch. For let me see what's going on spiritually, or how our chemistry really is outside this sexual tension. All right,
Comment
so
here. Most women over 40 are more attracted to a man's intellect, so it takes a few dates to get the chemistry vibes for sex.
let's let that sit for a
Interesting.
second.
Yeah, let them stew for a minute.
Yeah, wow, I want to answer that one. Any comments, Floyd? Share.
I believe that is partially true, you know, and the only reason I'm saying that is based upon my own personal experience. You know, it don't always take a few days for them to want to go there. I've had times where I've had to not do it myself. I turned it down, because I
Yeah,
wasn't ready, but they were ready.
yeah.
But I do believe I'm not disagreeing with it, but I think that there's more women out there that may not fall in that category than we think, just based on my personal experiences.
Yeah.
There's another comment. Go ahead,
Hold
Marcus.
on one second, Don, real quick. I'm gonna address that comment real quick. men was always a lot of men are taught by other men that a woman knows if she gonna give you some at the moment she sees you within the first hour or 10 minutes, and so that comment contradicts that philosophy. So I'm just curious. I saw you shaking your head down, so you must have heard the same thing. So I just want to point. I just want to put that out there.
That's why I said the energy has to be there from jump, because it's like you knew from jump. So if there's no energy that suggests that from jump, you just playing in my face. But again,
Mm.
I'm obviously dealing with much younger women, so I feel like maybe that's just part of why that dynamic is. But
The comment, I'm going to follow up on Dallas' statement. It says here, this is related to Floyd: nothing feels worse than jumping into sex than realizing you're not compatible. That couldn't be farther from the truth. I do agree with that comment.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! You said you don't agree with it. You don't agree
I
with that
do.
comment, though.
Sorry, I
No,
do
Oh,
agree with the comment.
oh.
Sorry, I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Nah, I think if you can wait, I say wait. But like I said, I don't put a time limit on, like the 90-day rule and stuff like that. I
Mm.
won't say that. You have to determine that based upon the situation you're in. But I
Yeah.
would say just don't rush into it. If you're trying to be serious, I mean, if y'all playing the hookup game and that's what y'all doing, then that's a different conversation. But if you're trying to be serious, take your time, get to know the person a little bit more.
I have a question for Marcus here because we was discussing this all week. Marcus, this is for you, sir. What would you tell your 25-year-old self right now in regards to the perspective on dating?
So yeah, that was going to be a topic. That was actually going to be a great discussion later on for another topic, but another live. But yeah, honestly, at 25, I wasn't the most. I'm not the great person you see now. I'm not the handsome person you see now. I was not the most put together. So I was more of a lot of morals, too much of a moral standard. So I missed out on a lot. What I would tell myself at 25, still stay true to yourself, but also learn to be more observant when looking at and talking to women. Because you've missed a lot of signs where you had opportunities for women, and also just because the woman wanted that bad boy, that she just wasn't right for you, you had to learn to accept that and just stay in your lane. Because me at 25 I was still going through some growing pains when dealing with women. You know, in hindsight, I'm glad I had those experiences because if I had tried to step out more and try to be the dog, I might have been that one with two or three kids and and two or three children's mother, or the
Yeah,
one saying playing a song. I hate my baby mama song on a ringtone.
that Gen X song.
Yeah. So that's one of the main things because dating was a little bit different for me at 25, and I was like, ugh. But I have to be thankful and tell myself when you get 45, there's somebody out there for you. You just don't know it yet.
Well spoken, my brother. Well spoken.
Yeah. So wait a minute, Don, you gonna put me on the spot? What would you tell yourself at 26? And I heard some of the stories.
Man,
We ain't
you
got no
couldn't
Arby
tell
stories in
me
here.
nothing at 25, 26. I was a man on my own path, but I will say this, speaking of what Floyd said earlier, I would tell myself, don't do it. just take your time and don't rush into anything because a lot of things I felt that were done at 25 were due because the opportunities did come from lack of opportunities that didn't come before. With age brings wisdom and maturity. So if you think about a 25-year-old guy who just running around, lifting weights, playing basketball, and blaring music, there's pretty much you feel like you're on top of the world. But if wisdom was given to me at that age, I probably would have did things differently. So again, telling my 25-year-old self is just take your time, don't do it, don't rush anything, and just be patient.
So, Floyd, what would you tell yourself at 25?
Um, Echo, take your time. Don't rush into anything. Get to know the person and get to know yourself. You know, take the time to actually get to know yourself. There's no rush. Um, because one bad turn. The example I would give: you're on a highway trip and you make a run. You're on the highway and you make a bad turn, and you find yourself traveling for another 30, 40 minutes to get back on track. Because you're
Yeah,
making wrong turns. I would say take your time and just get to know who you are and get to know that person.
yeah.
All right,
So
Dallas. What would you
Dallas
tell
is
yourself at seven?
25, so
What would you tell yourself at 17? Because 17, we start smelling yourself. When you know.
17, that's about high school. Uh, I don't have no regrets. I wish I was more. If anything, I would say stop messing with crazy women. Uh, but it was fun for the time. Yeah.
smash and dash. That's what Dallas said.
You gonna mess
Dallas,
with crazy ones. It's better to do it then than now. So
Dallas.
Okay.
Sometimes crazy sneak up on you though, man.
Waited in the parking lot for you,
Yeah.
right? Four
Yeah,
yeah, you
flat
know,
tires.
you don't quite know that crazy yet. And that would go both ways because I know women would can attest to the same thing. Sometimes people are very patient before they show they're crazy.
Hmm. And this is why sometimes it's better to wait to have sex,
Yes,
because you would hate to give the gift of yourself to a crazy person, because they will snatch it, keep it, hold it, and keep looking for it again. So
and
no.
and if that don't scare you, just tune in to Tubi and watch any movie on Tubi.
There's crazy folks out there.
Man, but you know, I think we have a bunch of questions, but I'm gonna ask you guys this: would you be willing to do a part two?
Most definitely.
What about you, Dallas?
for sure, for sure.
You know, with this topic, and that we still got some crazy questions out there, and I don't want to spend 2 hours on this, because I want this part one to get out, and I want more people to come in, because we had some comments in the chat which were great, and I
Hmm.
think a lot more people need to hear this. You two guys are awesome, and I couldn't be blessed with two. Well, we couldn't be blessed with two better guests for this topic.
Yes,
No,
I agree.
thank
You
you,
know,
Ellie.
and as we start seeing, we see a lot of similarities, and we also see some differences. But this is called generational and called generational growth. No, we as a people we tend to evolve. So from X to Z, I actually appreciate both. I appreciate both generations,
Indeed.
and yeah, because well, how you go about dating and how you go about pursuing, it may be a little bit different, but fundamentally a lot of it's the same. So, what about you, Don? Any questions? Anything you want to put out there?
Uh, no questions, no comments. Appreciate both gentlemen being here, discussing the topic. Speaking from a young man's perspective, Dallas, it was nice to meet you. And speaking from someone who is my peer, Floyd, it was nice to meet you. And just hearing their philosophies on the concept around this perspective on dating was very eye opening as well as informational because. Going through life, we can only see what we see, but when you hear someone's perspective, it can definitely change your point of view or influence you to think in a different way. So I appreciate that, gentlemen.
I have a question if we have time.
Yes.
Oh, go for it.
So this is a question more so for Dallas, for an understanding point from our generation, Generation
Oh
X.
yeah, let's get into
Um,
this.
since we're talking about dating, Dallas, from your generation, what's a good example of a date from someone your age? Like if you're taking a young lady out, can you give an example of, and it doesn't even have to be what you would do personally, but people in your age bracket, what would a nice date be?
That was number 5 on the questions we didn't get to.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm glad you asked it.
I can tell you what it's not because I think that's more what it's not free. It's not a walk in the park. It's not a drive to McDonald's. It's not like if it's free and or cheap, they're not going. So like, and when I say cheap, I mean like ice cream. I'm not saying like it's raggedy, but I'm just saying like a lot of women now call those like too low effort. So you can do a lot of other things outside of that. But if you like, oh, meet me at Central Park and we're gonna go on a stroll, they like so.
That ain't
Oh,
happening.
so guys, we're gonna sit here for a second on this one. We can't leave it like this. We got to dive into this one. So go ahead. So Dallas, just go ahead. Let's say the last first date you went on. How did it go? What was your mindset, your planning, and how did you execute? You were shaking his head.
Okay, the last first date I went on, we went to dinner at a very nice restaurant. Not even very nice, but just expensive. Actually, like a middle ground restaurant. And then we
So
went got
Applebee's.
drinks after. Oh, it was like for the two of us. I think it was like maybe 150 or something for the two of us. So it was pretty high. And it wasn't really
Dang.
yeah. And then we went and got drinks afterwards at a different bar. So she went well. Like she liked it, and we had like a second date and whatever else. But
That
it
was the first date, Dallas?
yeah, that was the first date.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
And
the
was
way
there
you
a second
start.
date?
That's the way you start. You got to maintain now.
Was there a second date?
Yeah, there was a second, third, fourth. Yeah.
So have you ever? So I got a question now. Have you ever experienced a date where they really wasn't caring about you? They just wanted to go out, and so you can give them $150 dinner. They say, "Oh, he'll spend. We know we're gonna eat good."
Not a first date, but Marcus, you know about old girl, and I think by the time we got settled in, that became the dynamic. But I think I like to talk to women who are quite put together. And so they be doing that. I talk to women who would do that even if we weren't going out. Who they'll go out with their friends and do the same thing. I'm not gonna get you something that you can't get for yourself. So I think that
Okay,
eliminates it because then it's not a big ooh, he taking me out. It's like, okay, like I would have eaten at this place with my friends if he hadn't taken me here, so I don't really care.
Okay.
I'd never thought about that. That's an interesting dynamic. Actually a That's a good way to put it. So you pretty much saying if you did a hood rat,
Yeah,
you gonna take them to hood rat places?
correct. I'm gonna take you with it. But take you what you know. How you gonna be asking me to do something that you can't do on a regular basis? That's crazy.
He makes a good point there. He makes a good point there, right? He
See,
makes
I
a good
wouldn't
point.
be see at my age, there would be no hood rat date. You know, they're not getting nothing, because that's a waste of time, for me,
We
But
got a comment.
but in my 20s, that probably would have been different. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
at my age now, I'm not just going out, just be going out, and definitely not going to be spending a whole bunch of money on any first date. Honestly, for me at this point, that first date is to see if we're going to get to a second date. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I'm not spending all this money, and we don't even know if we even like each other, face to face yet.
We got some comments on that topic now. Marcus, you can start it. One comment says here, you attract what you put out in the universe. You want to spend Applebee's money, then expect Applebee's tendencies.
So what is Applebee's tendencies?
Yes, what are the Applebee's tendencies? I
Yeah,
guess is that
let's
what
get
Dallas was saying,
clarification.
that hood rat. You get that hood rat mentality. So, you spend cheap, you get cheap, I guess.
Hey,
Then another comment follow up says, what do you think about splitting the bill? I do like that idea on a first date. Um, Previous first dates I went out, that was not necessarily brought up as a discussion, but I've been asked and offered as a guy. A woman would ask me, "Hey, you want to split the bill?" And of course, me being gentleman enough to say, "No, no, thank you. I'll go ahead and take care of the tab." But the fact that they even ask and not have to go and tuck their head and run off in the bathroom and leave you with a $700 tab, something like that, you know.
well,
One of my favorite dates actually was a virtual date.
Oh
You
wow,
know, the very first date, what we did is that we decided that we were going to buy the exact same ingredients, right, food
Mhm.
wise, and we were going to cook together, but we were, FaceTime. And so see, it was a salmon dinner. So we started at the same time. We're talking the whole time, and the date started at 7 o'clock. Now we were done cooking around 7:30. We got done there was about 30-second difference, right? We sat down. I sat on my couch. Had I don't drink, so I had lemonade. She had some wine. We talked up to about 1 o'clock in the morning,
Nice.
and it was so amazing because we got a chance to actually enjoy each other and just talking. And like I said, this was a virtual date, you know what I'm saying? But it was creative and fun.
Hmm.
And technically, I brought that up because technically we split the bill, you know,
Yeah,
because she bought her stuff and I bought mine, and we did that to come together.
yeah.
it's nice.
So two things about that one, Floyd. First, I know you was watching her. Like, is she gonna wash her hands?
They go season it. That
Yeah, yeah.
salmon.
Well, yeah. What's is she putting seasoning on that meat? Or is she talk? Are you watching for the little things? Like, yeah, she good people, but she ain't cooking my food.
Well, fortunately, with that particular situation, with the hand thing, yes, the hand washing hand thing was important. But we were going off the same recipe, so so
Okay.
Yeah.
we had to use the
All
same
right.
ingredients.
That's
And
nice.
splitting the bill, I probably never. I've never asked or I never expected a woman on a first date to split a bill with me. But I do. I would always appreciate, which has happened, the offer. When you offer, it means a lot to me. That makes me want to do more for you because you're about working together, not just getting work. Taking.
Yeah. Okay, we got a follow up comment here. Says here, I told my son, do not take a woman to a 5-star on the first date. Point taken.
The one thing that I'll say about my first date that I shared is one, I'd already been talking to this young lady for quite a while prior to that, and we kind of already had shared context. So this is not some random girl I done met on the app or anything like that. So I knew either way it was gonna shake out fine. But I think to that comment about don't take her to a 5 star on the first date. I also feel like what you start doing on the first date, you then have to maintain. So it's like if you taking me to a 5 star on the first date, then what is the second day gonna be, or what is my birthday or Valentine's Day gonna be? Because you done already took me to the 5 star on the first date, so then you're constantly having to do that or more. And I feel like in that situation, you kind of set yourself up for failure.
You're
Yeah,
right.
Very
that's
wise
absolutely
assessment.
correct.
Very wise assessment.
We have another comment here, a follow up comment. An example of Applebee's tendencies in the scenario is, can you pay for my nails? Compared to, let's say, for a trip to get away from the city. So
This
I
is
think we
fun
got it. Go
because
ahead.
and the splitting the bill question is, I think, an area we think differently. What I have been told in my experiences is that a woman only offers to split the bill if she never wants to see you again. Otherwise,
What?
Whoa.
Whoa.
Wow. Yeah,
but
he hitting on
splitting the
something here.
bill means like, because what a lot of women have experienced is like guys will pay for it at the restaurant, but then after the fact be like, hey, can you send me $20 or whatever? And so in order to just have the clean cut, we're good, we're friends, like to kind of set that tone of like we are friends at the end of this, they'll split the bill, similar to what they would do with their friend, and not in a relationship context. And then
So
mhm.
no, go ahead.
And then even with the pay for my nails, that's kind of expected. Like that's not an Applebee's tendency. That's like a bare minimum. Like of course you're paying for my nails. Like that's not even a conversation. That's up for.
So I did a follow up to your comment. When if a woman doesn't offer to split the bill and the man pays the bill regardless of the amount, is that an expectation on the man's behalf to want something out of that date? How do you feel about that?
I
Bring
don't
your check in the condoms.
know. I don't know. I feel like you gotta have, as a man, you gotta have some discernment, and like that's why I say if there's not energy like that from jump, you can kick rock because then we don't have
Yeah,
to have conversations. Because then it's like I'm not worried about if I get it tonight because I know I'm gonna get it eventually, and it's not like a obligatory thing. But I feel
yeah,
like if you are only going on dates with women in order to have sex with them, I feel like that's kind of lame. I'm not going on dates to have sex with women.
So this
yeah,
day and age, you don't have to go on a date to have sex with women anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
you know,
So just
they,
don't.
yeah, it's easier to do that than to get a quality date. So
speak, Floyd, speak.
Hmm.
Yep.
Well, so yep. New generation of women want to share their cash app. So it's wild, so wild to me.
Wow.
Ah,
Yeah, that part.
wow. So if you're a sophisticated woman, what you guys Zelle me?
Let's
Y'all
put the
laugh.
money in hand. Let's put the money in an envelope and hand it to me on the table.
Y'all laugh. How it be?
Oh, wow.
You know,
Is
that's
and
that
this
funny.
is
is that
so.
Carter
Wait
B
a minute. So
thing?
wait a minute. Quick question, Dallas. So if she actually say hit you like, hey, this is my cash app. Can you cash app me something? Is that a turn off or a flag for you?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I had to learn the hard way, but yes. And I've had women do it like really quickly, like ask me for something. Uh, and yeah, I mean they'll do it. They'll try it really quickly.
Hmm.
Wow. Is that a Gen Z thing? Is it a Gen X thing? Because I don't recall experiencing none of that in my life. Well, we didn't have
It,
cash up when we was growing up, so
Oh
it's a,
no, they had cash.
had cash, straight cash on me.
Oh,
Randy Moss
they,
was
they
out there.
yeah, they hit you for straight cash.
It was called child support. I think that's what it was called.
it's it's
I was
definitely
paying that.
it's just like the it's like somebody got on the internet and said, if he's taking you to a coffee shop on a first date, he's low effort, he doesn't like you."
Wow.
And then it's very similar to the all the other stuff that they be asking for. It's like, you know, why would you ever go 50-50 with a man? He needs to be taking care of you. And because, Gen Z is obviously relatively young, and like I said a little bit earlier, still trying to figure out how they want to navigate relationships, they
Yeah.
just that because you're seeing it on social media, a bunch of people are liking it and all this stuff. You think, oh, well, this is how everybody is doing things, so that's just how it's supposed to be. And so what else are you supposed to believe if every time you log on, you're sitting on the phone for 4 hours a day and that's all that you see? You're not
Yeah.
going to around and be like, oh, it's okay, we can split the bill, when you just shame and told that he hates you and all this other stuff if you split the bill. So
Yeah. Yeah.
See, my question is, or my thought process is, if a woman goes out on a date with you to a place where you're not spending a lot of money, and she knows beforehand that, say you're going to the art museum, for instance. I know that's not that's more my generation than yours, Dallas, but if we're going to an art museum, you're not spending one penny at the art museum unless you're going to like the thrift store, the bookstore in there, whatever. But she's spending time with you there. To me, it lets me know she's actually interested in getting to know you and not how much money you got to spend on her. Now the second day can't be the art museum too. You know what I'm saying? You can't keep going doing that. But if that first one, if you did go somewhere where you really wasn't, weren't spending money, but the whole point was to get to know each other,
Yeah.
where you can actually talk. See, at my age, I don't feel like anything is wrong with that because you're getting the
Yeah.
opportunity to see what's up, and you're not spending. Like I can't see myself spending a whole bunch of money on the first date only for them to find and say, well, we just wasn't vibing, and I didn't think the chemistry was right, and so they got that $150 meal out of you, and now they're on to the next person to see how much they can get out of that person. Where you could have just did something that wasn't real high end, but you can go in and get to know each other and talk and see what's going on.
So it sounds like the intentions when dating is a little bit is different. Where at the Gen X level, we're like, okay, we're needing that partner because we're in our 40s, 50s, 60s, where it's getting a little, we ain't moving around, it's a little lonely. Where you're looking at the Gen Z is we still got a long life ahead of us. Let's have fun. We'll when we hit 30, we'll start getting serious. Then we maybe start tweaking our mindset. So
Yeah.
I think that plays a big part too.
Yeah, we not going on dates for none of the reasons you just said. Uh,
He's not going to no art museum. He's bored.
there's none of that. Because we can talk, get to know each other on the phone. Like we sit on the phone all day, so it's like, what can we talk about at the museum that we couldn't talk about sitting on FaceTime or what have you? So it's like, if we're going out to have a good time. So
Yeah.
like, that's why it's like, don't take me to walk around no park. That's not a good. It's like, take me to a cool restaurant or something like that. That's where like the effort of dates, like that's why they're like, oh, this is a low effort date versus a good date. It's because the intention is like more about having fun, and then that it's not about like getting to know the person, if you will.
Yeah. This perspective on dating.
Very
Comparison of
different,
Gen X and Gen Z.
very different, and there
Mm.
because, like, for instance, like you're saying, like the art museum, for instance, I'll just use that example. Um, One thing you can't get to, like, at the art museum, FaceTiming, you're not gonna be able to talk about the art that's at the art museum. So, and getting the opportunity to actually have a conversation. And like I said, this is my generation to see what this mine is. You get to learn a lot of that while you're up in that art museum talking, and actually you're having fun. Hopefully, the two people are having fun. They're connecting, laughing, joking, talking about stuff. I guess the concept of fun will vary between like your generation and my generation, what fun actually is, you
Yeah.
know, because like at our age, we're like, I ain't trying to waste no time, and waste time period in terms of whatever we're doing. I'm gonna enjoy it, but we gotta have fun talking. We gotta have to this and that, and we gotta get up out the house. We can't just be on the phone all day.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like Floyd, when they say Netflix and chill, that means you're really watching Netflix and chilling out.
There's no code word. There's no
You're
code word
actually
there.
watching the movie.
Yeah, a documentary, a polar bears mating season or some shit.
Now, don't get it twisted. I mean, there are people our age when
Netflix and chill.
Netflix and chill means the same thing that's gonna mean for all our generations. You know what I'm saying? But it all depends on what your intentions are.
That's
You know what I'm
universal. That's the universal language. It says here, I don't think they care, bro. LOL. Our generation is it. We are it. I do agree. We are all we have.
Man, so this is crazy. That that was a big gap that we finally really nailed that big gap on
Yeah,
how we look at stuff.
exactly.
You know, but I'm curious. I know how Dallas is, but I'm actually this anyway. Dallas. This goes to you. I'm a follow question with you, Floyd.
Okay.
Um, do you ever look at older generations and use them as an example of how you should be doing it when dating?
Yes and no. Maybe dating, I'll say yes. I think relationships as a whole, no. But dating, yes. I think definitely my dating life has improved once I started listening to old dudes, for sure. So dating, yes.
Mm, I like that. That's that comes from like a lot of men try to impart wisdom on the younger generation. But this is one of the things I do respect about you, Dallas, that you do listen. So Floyd,
Hmm.
my question to you is: have you looked at a younger generation and said, "Hey, that's not bad. Let me incorporate that, or that's actually a better way of doing
Um, no,
it."
I haven't. But the one thing I will say and give props to the younger generation is actually the fun element, the youthfulness of having fun and not taking everything so seriously. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe going and play laser tag and you're going out and you're chilling, you having fun. Whatever, y'all. I don't know what the younger generation may do for fun per se, but the fact that they believe in having fun, skating and this and that, just doing whatever is youthfulness, because you gotta have fun. You just,
Yeah.
period. So I do look at that element of it. But in terms of watching what they do in reference to dating right now and just even listening to the music itself, I'm stuck in the 90s, bro. 90s to and
They
2010,
got that
just,
jealousy and that
right.
Bria's 28 and she says to each their own, but she loves ice cream and picnic dates. Hell, let's go play some volleyball or something.
Damn,
Yeah.
Hey,
that's actually what Floyd was talking about.
Yeah.
So that
yeah.
youthfulness. You know, at at our age, we may want to take some icy hot and a couple of band aids, but we willing
Back
to go do
brace.
it. Be in a back brace.
Yeah. Be down for a while.
Yeah, we ain't trying to go home and have sex. We trying to go home and soak in some Epsom salt.
No Netflix and chilling tonight.
Yeah.
Zorbean Jr. and relaxation.
Oh, this one's for you, Dallas. Yeah,
Remember who he is listening to.
we ain't gonna get into that. But well, I guess I'm having a good time with this. You know, I still, along with a part two, know what we need done?
Yeah.
We need to have a Gen Z and Gen X females.
Mm.
Mm,
So
wow.
we're putting a call out. If any Gen X and Gen Z single female wants to come on and discuss their point of view, inbox
Now
us, let
that
us
would make a
know.
good part too, because I
We
want
will.
to hear some thoughts from the Gen X women on how they view Gen Z women and vice versa. Because
Yeah,
some of them out there be living foul.
yeah. As Dow's
Trying
over
to
here
keep up
cheesing
with
like, hey,
it.
you
Yeah, they're
know,
trying to keep up.
it's just funny. You were just talking about Jodeci and
Yeah,
how Floyd said he was stuck in he's stuck in the '90s music.
yeah.
I'm curious. So in the dating life, how much does what's said on the music side influence how you go about dating? Because because think about what they say on the music. Well, I'm doing this and doing that. Does that influence how you think females want to be treated or taken on a date? And this is really for you, Dallas. Do you think that is that a big influence?
I think that at least within the black community, I think right now men are more dominant in the music areas that we listened to, and so it's less of influencing how the women want to be treated, but it is influencing how men treat women because obviously in the 90s you had very romantic type music, ooh girl I love you, da 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 da, and now it's like I hate women, I got women. And so of course if you listening to that and that is, even if you wouldn't admit that it's influencing the way that you are going about dating, if that's what you listen to 24/7, it 100% it is. And so a lot of men don't aren't romantic because that's not cool. What's cool and what's popular is, oh, I'm gonna treat women really poorly. So again, I don't know that people would say that that's the case, but I think that it's pretty evident even in the things that I've heard from just older generations about how their relationships were, and or even if you even just look at movies of like relationships back in the 80s, 90s, whatever, was much more romantic based and things like that. Whereas now I think and that's probably why first dates aren't even about like the intimacy of getting to know each other or anything like that. Like everything is about like gratification more than it is connection.
So that might be why some women, some of the younger ladies who like 25 to 30, some of the friends that I know, they say they like dating older guys, because they do believe in the romance and they want that romance, and they're not getting that from the people in their age bracket.
Follow up
So
question here. Go ahead, Marcus.
no, you about to do it. This next question that you're about to read
The
is
follow up
actually
question is: do you single men open car doors for women? And so, when is the last time?
When was the last time that we opened the door?
Car door. Car doors.
That's period. That's just the rule.
Yeah.
The only time that doesn't go into play is if the woman doesn't allow it
Mm,
because she ain't into it. Because there
gotcha.
are some women that's not into a man being chivalrous. Some people are not in there, or they just feel like you should do it on certain times. Like we just go to the grocery store, you ain't gotta get out and open the door. We just go ahead and get this milk. Let's get up out of here. But if you're going on a date, I need you to open the door. I need you to,
Yeah.
put the jacket on, this and that. So I do it all the time.
Okay. The man has
Dallas.
spoken. The
Go
man
ahead,
has.
Dallas. You open the Uber door.
Yeah. Not really.
Wait. He opened the door when he sent him home. Is that what you said?
Yeah, so you open the Uber door.
Well, in
The
DC,
front door.
I'm
Get him out of here.
work. Don't Everybody don't got cars, so yeah, it is you opening the Uber door or you in the door to the place you go. But even when I car, yes, I was opening doors. But I agree with what Floyd said. A lot of women, especially if they're not from the South, really they aren't used to it or they like don't like it or whatever. But I still like to do it. So even if I am engaging with a young lady who doesn't typically isn't used to that, we had that conversation. I'm like, you need to let me open the door for you. They'll be like, oh, okay, whatever, and we go on like that. But yeah, I think now is that common? No, I know that I do it for very specific reasons, but I wouldn't say that for Gen Z that is common at all.
So
Yes.
your mindset is chivalry dead for most Gen Zers.
Yeah, because romance is dead. Like, so yeah, of course. Like, why would I?
Oh man, yeah. Y'all need to listen to one of our podcasts on the Exchange podcast. We just had a conversation about that. Enhance your romance. Today. That was the name of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Enhance your romance today. But like you say, in Gen Z, apparently romance has dwindled. It's not there. But no, in my generation, I believe it's strong and it still exists. But
Mhm.
my whole thing is that I shouldn't have to have a conversation about opening your door. When we get to the car, if you're moving there to the car to get your door, I'm gonna beat you to the door, and then you're gonna okay, you're gonna see that that's what I do. You're not gonna have to tell me I'm waiting on you for you to open my door or sitting in the car because you're waiting
Mhm.
for me to get out and open the door. You're not gonna have to do that with me.
Yeah.
Now in Gen Z, like you said, that's. I was laughing because Don said the door. It was at the front door. That's the only door.
Get on out of here. There's a comment coming from Facebook. It says that makes me sad that they don't have romance, and I think this may be in reference to Dallas's comment for Gen Z. And I'm going to defend my man here because I don't think it's the fact that an entire generation of people just don't have romance. I think influence comes from what society is pushing upon us. Because I recall back, if I reflect back when I was a younger Gen Xer, uh, there was romance in the music, and then we had the gangster music come along, and then that
Hmm.
got put on radio, playing nonstop, and everybody wanted to be a gangster. You had movies coming out with colors and gang banging, and mafia, and it's carried on to a different generation. You got the dope dealing, and you got all this negativity that is constantly building up, and those that are coming up behind you next to Gen Z are seeing this and they're relating to it, and they're young, they're hyper, they're aggressive, they have no chill in their body. So if there is no passion in the music for love, if you got women singing about, doing this and that, the men are doing 10 times worse. So that influence is causing a generation, I feel, to go off tracks a little bit. So it's not necessarily their personality, just what they're exposed to. And you got to get the right exposure in order to hone the mind, to grow the body, and mature the soul.
Who said sexy red ain't romantic?
Yeah, that's gonna say. Y'all know, like y'all have heard Sexy Red songs, and so even a lot of the women who are putting out music are saying equally as anti-romantic things. So it's
Yeah,
that's what's popular right now. So, and I do think that there are online conversations where like women are like, "Oh, I just wish I had romance and whatever," but so I think there is desire, but
yeah,
because it's not culturally relevant for us, most people still aren't actually getting it, even if they do desire it.
yeah. Listen to what the man said. He said it's not culturally relevant because why is only the black society has been pushed into this negativity?
Hmm.
Mm.
Only our music is causing this type of chaos and this type of conflict and confusion. You don't hear it in country. I mean, Beyonce
And,
is going over the country. She's going to change all that. But I mean, you don't hear it in country. You don't hear it in alternative music. You don't hear it in rock and roll. You don't hear it in
and,
neo soul. So it's kind of
it
funny
might be
how
in
Yeah.
Metallica. It might
it
be
might
in
be
heavy metal.
Metallica. Man, it was always
Yeah,
there. Metallica. We was
Yeah.
growing up in Gen X. It was always there. They were the one who was going out there and doing crazy stuff. He was like, look at that fool. But
I
now
ain't never heard
it's
Maroon 5 say bitch. So you got a
yeah.
valid point.
Yeah, so we're being pushed these type of things, and then the people who are making the money off of it also are pushing it. So it's a constant evolving cycle that has yet to be broken, and no one seems to have the answer, or no one cares to have an answer.
All right, cool. Well, we got another comment, Don.
All right, it says absolutely. Now you're preaching, Don. That's a different life for sure. Indeed, I'm on my pulpit. I just got off the soapbox. Had it back to Marcus now.
No, no, no. I ain't. You had a soapbox, but you're right though. I didn't. You're right. I just really thought about it. Like I knew it before, and I forgot, and I pushed it back in my mind that yeah, our culture
oh, that's a good question.
that we are really ones really pushing uh the negative stereotype about women or and we think even back in our even Gen Z days we was doing it. How many Too Shorts we songs we listened to? How many Luke songs we had?
Yeah,
CDs we had.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know. Think about when we watch Boys in the Hood. Oh, bitch,
yeah,
bring me a 40. Something. It
yeah,
that was the start. That was just progressing. So if it progressed to the where it's at now is partly our fault, our generation.
yeah. Yeah, I blame that on baby boomers. But go ahead. There's a question in the comment. There's a comment asking a question. Do you believe that men feel that being romantic makes them appear weak? I don't feel that it makes them appear weak. I feel that if they are around a support group of brothers or individuals who may clown them for doing that, it may cause them to refrain from showing that type of display of emotion in public. But I will digress to the gentlemen in the group and get their opinion as well.
Let's go with you, Floyd. We already
Uh,
know the answer, but what you got?
well, of course, the answer is no. But you're being romantic with people who you feel should be romanced. So if that individual is worthy of romance, there's no way that person's gonna feel like you're weak anyway.
Mm,
So you can't just be giving your energy to everybody. When you're about to be romantic and show romance to someone that you're pursuing in the first place.
yeah,
Yeah, I agree with that one. I agree with 100%. You know, you can't. How can I put it? I want to be saved. You can't be give like. You can't. I hate to say, it, you just can't be romantic to everybody, especially somebody who doesn't know how to receive it.
Right.
yeah,
If they
true.
don't know how to receive it, of course it may come up to them as you being weak, and when you're just trying to be genuine and put them in a role of I'm ignoring you as my queen. Let me treat you as such.
Now,
Now,
other men that may watch or see it may perceive that if they're on that hard thug life type of thing, they may look at you that way, but who cares?
Yeah,
at this age, at our age, Floyd, I don't see that. I don't see that like that anymore.
Mm.
We this age, we looking about or settling down and making and find that right partner. That's to the point where you trying to be hard because you bring your wife flowers.
Mm-hmm.
If I can go to a barbershop right now and say I'm about to stop and get some flowers for my wife on the way home. Not nan man in that barbershop gonna say a word.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
yeah.
So Dallas, now you the last one on the panel on this one. How would the Gen Z effect come about this?
I mean, we're still young, so peer pressure still matters. And so it's exactly what y'all are talking about. That, like, especially because I said, I think a little bit earlier, like, Gen Z doesn't really have the community that you all had. So it feels like five friends that I have are the only five friends I'll ever have. And so if me doing XYZ is going to get me ridiculed by them, I'm not going to do X, Y, and Z. Because that means I'm
Yeah.
now sacrificing my friends and my lifestyle over here for this woman, and that seems really weak. And so I don't think that people at this age have that. Men at this age definitely don't really have that security to be like, this is the girl that I like. I'm gonna do X, Y, and Z. Unless you just happen to have a friend group in which that is encouraged and acceptable.
Yeah. Wow. So that was actually one of our questions about how much does your peers affect your dating decisions? You know, or because do you feel like you're getting constantly judged by your peers on who you date and how you date?
That's a good point because if you take it like this, if you have a buddy and you so happen to be serious with a woman and going out on dates and not spending the weekend hanging out, getting drunk or going to bars and bar hopping, he's gonna feel some type of way because he's like, man, why are you spending all your time with that woman? It's well documented in movies and things of that nature. We may have even experienced it ourselves. So it's takes a bigger person to step away from that mind frame and say, hey, I want to be there for my lady. I want to establish something. I want to grow together. So therefore we as buddies gonna have to either respect it or you're gonna have to find somebody else to hang out with, because
Okay. So I was just informed real quick. Let's finish this question, but I was just informed that I guess our live audio is starting to degrade some.
okay.
So we're gonna start wrapping it up in a second. Even though we got a bunch of questions, let's go ahead and finish that topic up, and we'll start wrapping this up before we lose our good rest of our audio.
Yeah.
I think I would say the answer is twofold, or my answer would be twofold. I think the first thing is for us, we have social media, right? So it's like a lot of people, even beyond your immediate friends, are paying attention to who you're dating, if you're dating, where are y'all going, what are y'all doing. And so it's like, and I think it's honestly, I think it's worse for women because like there's a lot of weird things that go on with dating and social media that we would have to get into on a whole other thing. But like the way in which women will present the men in which they are with is very particular. They're very deliberate about the way in which they do that on social media. Uh, Again, that goes back to what I was saying about the dates and about, oh, I want you to pay for my nails, blah, 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 blah. Because it's like, I only want to date these certain people so that my friends and these people on social media can, feel a type of way about it. So I think it's influenced by your social circle in that way. Because you don't want to be the only one in your friend group whose man ain't, paying for her nails. Like, that's bummy. And then on the other hand, I think I don't know how much it does influence specifically who you're dating. At least I think on for men, I think it's a little bit less like that. And I say that because I know in my conversations with some of my guy friends, I'll be like, man, that girl is not cute, and know, they all over it, or even sometimes when we talk, we'll talk very abstractly about women. We almost won't even like unless it's a girl that we just is obviously like we really locked down with. You might not even show. You'll be trying to beat around the bush about who it is, what she looks like, all that stuff, because you don't want the 2 cents. You don't want them to be like, oh, okay, like she cool. So you'll only really, or they think she too. So like you kind of, at least for the men, even amongst close circles, you kind of are like skirting around to make sure that you have kind of the space to make a decision, and you and the girl work out what y'all gonna do, kind of without the too much 2 cents from the guys. So um, I think it kind of differs a little bit between the two groups, but maybe that just goes to show that we need to have some of the young ladies on here too.
Yeah.
They're doing a lot. I'll tell you that they be doing a lot.
Oh, okay, fellas. So we already got one schedule or one volunteer for the female version. So we're gonna wrap this up. And before we go, I want to let everybody know Monday, Monday at 7 p.m. We're gonna do a special live on location from El Jefe Lounge. If you're in the Dallas area, come on through. It's gonna be Don, Kia, and myself live on location. So come on through and look for the. We'll post a flyer out to remind everybody. It's a one-time Monday event, or first of maybe future Monday events. And also, one thing I always we need to point out: Don and myself, we're not experts at this. We're just having a conversation. This platform is just an open forum for us to discuss things in a positive light and put for general knowledge. And I would advise welcome everybody to come and place their comments and this and that. Be free. This is what we do. We want everything to stay positive and everybody to learn from each other.
Yes, I agree.
All right. So I'm so thank y'all for coming out tonight and listening to us. We look forward to another session with the females. We're gonna put that together. We're gonna start putting that together. It's already been happening in the background as we speak. And since this audio is degrading on us, we're gonna go ahead and cut it down. Have a good night, Don.
Peace.
Peace
All
out.
right.
Salute.
I've been loving you the best I can, the best I can. I've been loving you the best